Okay, we're back. And there are some things that might be slightly up or down. We actually think that the competition for students is going to get worse and worse and worse as there are a declining number of students, that colleges will compete for them harder. And we add to that a recent National Labor Relations Board decision which says we can compete for students now even after they've committed. So I imagine that there was going to be super duper deals in a market economy driving the rents that we have in the past gotten, and those are economic rents, meaning slightly higher than the minimum we could charge. And that's going to be 0.02. And so we see our 49 growth is ever not so good, but we got that tuition growth, and over time that we're really going to be doing slightly better between now and over the next 10 years. So that's a minor change, and we sort of expect our incoming, that 400 might be hard to reach. So what would happen if that number, instead of being 400, was actually just 390, just a small decline in that? And what we see is a much slower growth rate, and we see a little further before we end up into our into the situation where we are in equilibrium and everything's fine. So what we tend to do with these models is sort of best case, worst case scenarios, and then something in the middle. So the one I gave you, sort of the 400 and all of that, is sort of our hopeful model where we'd like things to be. And of course, there are ways of getting more students and lower revenues and things like that. What we're going to put down here, however, because we are economists and we don't do revenues, we do profits, our costs, and I really ought to reorganize this sheet, but I'm going to put it down here. Our costs right now are $48 million. And I'm going to format that cell as currency, and again, no decimal places. And then our costs are going to grow at 3.5%, and I'm just going to bury this here, which is bad format, and I told you not to do it, but we're going to do it anyway. I'm going to do this times 1.035, which is what our costs have been growing, and that's not something that we have as much control over. And so what we're looking for here is how much money we're going to have to get donors to make up, because that's who makes up our difference, is our alums and our friends. And so right now we're this minus this, and so our endowment and our donors make up that $15 million right now, and we have other sources of income too. So I'm only looking at the undergraduate picture here, and so it's a little bit exaggerated, but we're going to do that, and this is going to be, ooh, that's wrong. That should equal revenues minus costs. And so this is where a whole lot of colleges are right now, where donors and endowment and stuff like that make up the difference. And this would be the same for a fisheries model. I'm just using prospies and students because that will make more sense to you in terms of doing a transition model, and maybe convince you why you ought to tutor. So we see this growing and getting worse and worse and worse over time, because our growth rates in our tuition and our students are flat, and this is the panic that has presidents all over the country of small colleges figuring out how not to end up in this, well, shutdown range where donors and endowment can't handle it. So what we're going to call this net revenues okay, and so we have a little bit of an issue there. So how do we fix that